The Jordan River behind them had parted. The promised land stretched before them. For 40 years Israel had wandered sunburned, weary, waiting. Now the time of wandering was over. A new generation stood on the soil God had promised to Abraham. At their front rose a fortress no army could ignore. Jericho, thick walls, double-layered gates, towers that scraped the dawn. The city was built to keep people like them out. Inside, Jericho's soldiers stood ready and nervous. Word had spread through Canaan about Israel's God, the one who split seas and drowned kings, but fear alone wouldn't break their walls. This was Joshua's first test as commander. He had seen Moses stretch a staff over the sea. He had heard God's thunder on Sinai. Now the mantle rested on him. His first battle didn't look like war at all. The night before the attack, Joshua slipped away from camp, staring at Jericho's dark silhouette. He prayed, "Lord, how do I lead this? How do I fight what I cannot reach?" Then he looked up and saw a man standing with a drawn sword in his hand. Startled, Joshua demanded, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" The man replied, "Neither. I am commander of the Lord's army. Now take off your sandals. The place where you stand is holy." Joshua fell face down. In that moment, battle plans became worship plans. The Lord's instructions came clear and strange. March around the city once each day for 6 days with all the armed men. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark on the 7th day. March around the city 7 times. And have the priests blow the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast, the army is to shout, and the wall will collapse. The people will go straight in. No ladders, no siege engines, no flaming arrows. Just walking, worship, and waiting. Joshua repeated the plan to his soldiers, saying nothing about logic, only obedience. Faith often sounds like foolishness until the miracle arrives. At dawn on the first day, the camp stirred early. The priests lifted the Ark of the Covenant, the visible symbol of God's presence. Behind them walked ranks of soldiers. Ahead of them, the priests with the trumpets. As the sun rose, they began their quiet procession. No shouting, no threats. Only the rhythmic sound of footsteps in dust and the slow breath of the ram's horns, echoing off stone. Inside the walls, the people of Jericho climbed the towers and watched in disbelief. Is this their plan? They mocked, a parade. By evening, Israel returned to camp. No breach, no change. Day 2, same path, same silence. Day 3, doubt whispered through the marchers like wind through tents. Yet each morning, Joshua's voice broke the stillness. Move out. The Lord has given us the city. Obedience became habit. Faith learned rhythm. On the 7th day, before sunrise, the camp stirred before trumpet or rooster. They ate quickly, tightened their sandals, lifted the ark, and marched again. Once around, twice, 3 times. By the 6th circuit, their legs ached and hearts pounded. On the 7th lap, the priests raised their ram's horns high, and blew a single long note that pierced the air like lightning. Joshua shouted, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." A roar rose from thousands of throats, shaking not only the ground but every fear buried in their hearts. And then the earth answered. The walls quivered, cracked, buckled. Stone by stone, Jericho's pride tumbled downward. As dust blossomed into the air, the impossible fell in front of them. Israel surged forward through the ruins. Jericho was theirs not by weapon, but by worship. Amid the chaos, Joshua remembered one family, Rahab's household. The scarlet cord still hung from her window, the sign she had believed when no one else did. Joshua sent word, "Spare her and all with her." Grace was woven into victory. The city that fell under judgment still carried redemption in one corner window. As smoke rose and shouts quieted, Joshua stood among the ruins. His armor was dusty, but his heart was clear. This was not about him. It was about God's faithfulness. He whispered the promise he'd heard back at the river's edge. "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." That truth had walked every circuit of Jericho's walls before they ever fell. Jericho's story is the story of every believer, standing before something that won't move, a wall too high, a habit too strong, a fear too deep. God told Israel to walk, not to win. To obey, not to overthink. The miracle belonged to obedience. Each lap around that wall trained their hearts, not their swords. Each silent day tested their trust, tested whether they could still trust a strange command when nothing seemed to change. Maybe you're there now. Circling the same prayer, the same problem, the same promise that hasn't fallen yet. Keep walking. Faith doesn't rush walls down. It wears them down with trust. The shout that toppled Jericho wasn't muscle. It was cumulative obedience meeting divine timing. Your walls won't stand forever when praise keeps moving. Notice that Jericho fell on the 7th day, God's number of completion. He didn't forget. He finished. God still brings walls down, not always made of stone but of fear, doubt, and pride. When he says march, don't measure progress, measure obedience. Keep circling your promise in prayer. Keep walking in silence if he requires it. Keep trusting the day he chooses to let you shout. Because when God decides the moment, every barrier collapses perfectly, no brick out of place, no promise unfinished. Sometimes he doesn't need you to fight harder. He just needs you to keep walking while he works. Let Jericho remind you, when praise leads the way, miracles follow the sound.